Welcome to the Rise2Shine Podcast with Noelle Custis, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Hey there, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Rise2Shine Podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Custis, and today I am so thrilled to introduce you to someone that I have been in a program with for the last several months. And let me tell you, she is a powerhouse, and you're going to learn so much from her today. Brenda brings over 27 years of leadership experience from top brands like Gap, Banana Republic, Old Navy, where she has excelled in scaling businesses across sales, marketing, tech, HR, and operations. Today, Brenda applies her expertise to empower midlife women entrepreneurs to build successful businesses without the hustle culture. Her programs go beyond just business strategies, touching on health, wealth, relationships, and overall life alignment. Brenda's mission through her Aligned AF community is to help 1 million women align their lives and businesses, proving that you can have both joy and financial success without compromise. Today, I am so grateful to introduce you to Brenda Rigney. We're so happy you're here.
Hey, Noelle. Thanks for having me on. And thanks to everyone that's listening today.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I love so much about your intro because you are speaking to me. You're speaking to so many women in our audience today. And there's just so many fun things that I would love to touch on in the podcast. So first of all, let's go ahead and share about, because I'm sure it has intrigued some women out there. Let's share more about your transition from leading teams at all of these major brands to empowering midlife women entrepreneurs. What inspired you with this shift?
Well, essentially my story, I'm a midlife woman. So, that's the other thing too. I'm not necessarily a different generation going, hey, I need to focus it on this niche. It's like, it's actually me. Everything that you sort of talk about on your podcast about women, like I say that within my audience, like everything that I sort of espouse to them about health and wealth and community impact. It's like, I'm trying to lead by example by doing those things myself. Yeah. But yeah, it was about 6 years ago, I decided to leave my corporate job, and I was going through a major crossroads in my life. I mean, we all sort of know this at midlife. There's something going on, something maybe with a breakup or a break apart in relationships, in jobs. So it was all sort of coming to a head. I was going through my divorce at the time. I just was not, I'd left a previous company that I was like completely in love with, went to another job for really the money. Like that was it. Like there was nothing that was sort of different as far as job descriptions or clout or anything like that. It was just like, yeah, they were offering me, a few thousand more. And so it was just like eye candy really. It's like I went over there, but with all the other things that were sort of going on in my personal life, it just wasn't a supportive environment. And I decided, is this what the next 50 years are going to be like? Is this what even like the next 20 years are going to be like if I'm like thinking about my working career, or just that whole like, oh, retire at 65 definition? And I just said to myself, no, like I don't want that. And, I wanted to sort of reclaim some things that maybe I'd given up on. And that was looking at entrepreneurship. So I'd always worked for entrepreneurs and helped supported their businesses. Lots of male entrepreneurs, all those companies you listed off, plus more, were all led by men or their families. Mm-hmm. And, I wanted to support women and entrepreneurship.
I love that. Gosh. So like I said, so many things we have in common and where our hearts are with that. I feel like, and too, as a midlife woman, I feel like that is where I'm passionate. Right now, that's something that I felt led to as well, is just helping women. I had been in an industry. For me, I was in education for many, many years, and, lots of women, but a different culture than an entrepreneurial spirit, very different culture. And so by the time I was ready to shift out of there, I knew I wanted something different. But I love what it is that you're doing, because you mentioned that your programs focus not only on business strategies. I mean, this is what I've learned about you, but you also like to focus on your health, your wealth, relationships. So, can you just elaborate how these elements are interconnected for women
Yeah,
entrepreneurs?
absolutely.
I love
And
that.
not that I would say that I'm an expert in all of those modalities, but I think one
Right.
of the things that I've learned as a midlife woman is, up until that, let's just say in my 20s and 30s, I
Mhm.
never thought about my body. I never thought about like my
Yeah.
thoughts. It was just like go, go, go. Like whatever the company that I was working for required of me, I just did.
Right.
Sure, I thought about things, but it was all sort of like work related, how to make this widget sell more or how to make this person perform more or whatever that looked like. But it wasn't like, okay, what are the thoughts that are coming up for me about
Mhm.
myself? And maybe at that point, I had just seen success over success. And so there wasn't really a lot of negative thoughts that were coming up. But I think going back to that epicenter of like divorce, working for a company that I wasn't aligned to, now
Mhm.
thoughts that were coming up about like myself, like, am I as smart as I think I am?
Mhm.
I'm ashamed of the fact that like I couldn't continue on with my marriage. Like, what was wrong with me? Why couldn't I figure this out? Um,
Mhm.
I had guilt around things. And so it was just like these negative thoughts that were coming up, these stories that were being created. I didn't
Mhm.
know how to deal with them. And so I
Yeah.
wasn't really doing anything around my mental or emotional health. And let's talk about the physical health. Yeah, that was out the window too, because I was traveling 3 weeks out of the month. I was,
Yeah.
I was in a sales operation executive role. I lived off of room service or chips and red wine at the airport lounge.
Yeah.
So it was like I just didn't have the right routines in place. Plus, let's face it, I was like midlife and I didn't even know that I was going through perimenopause. Like
Mm.
no doctor called me up when I was 35 on my 35th birthday to say, oh, by the way, in the next few years, you're going to be going through something called perimenopause. And you might not sleep anymore. You might go through hot flashes. You might be
Right.
really irritable to live with. People may not like you. And it's just like, and there's all these hormonal inflections that, you're not going to know what's happening to you. And so like I just wasn't prepared at all going into midlife. I mean, there were things like probably if I look back in my teenage years or university years, people guided me and prepared me for. It's like, oh, you should get married and you should buy a house and this is what your mortgage rate should be. And people guided me in those areas. But when I came to midlife, there was like no textbook, there was no
Right.
rule book, and there was no coaching or mentorship that said, hey, watch out for these things. And
Yeah.
so that was the other thing, is that when I was designing my business, I didn't want to recreate what I had already created for the last 50
Mm.
years. I wanted something different. I was smarter. I was looking to get more educated around my health, and like that entailed mental, physical, and emotional well-being.
Yeah.
And so I brought that into all of my offers. So like when I work with women, yeah, I care about your sales process. I care about, your business strategy, who you're bringing on to help support you in your business, a VA, a graphic designer, whomever. But I also care about, are you building this business just to get to a quick, 6 figures or 7 figures, or are you thinking
Mhm.
about cash flow? Like, what's your investment portfolio? When was the last time you worked with a financial planner? Do you and
Mm.
your spouse or your kids talk about financial planning? Have you looked at your 401k plan lately and where you're investing money? Because you could be like sweating it in your 7-figure, business strategy, or you could also be looking at your investment portfolio and see how
Right.
it's working for you. So, I see all these people talking online about get to 7 figures, or work with a financial planner. And I sort of think about it like, how could you have a 7-figure life?
Mm.
When you think about it, it's like, I could be sweating it trying to get to 7 figures, or I'm getting an illness that is now costing me money in healthcare or things like that,
Right.
or
Yeah.
it's not allowing me to do certain things in my life. And so that's preventing me. So I could be making the money in my business, but then I can't go travel because I'm limited through my health. So
Mm.
I, work with women to look at like all areas, like, how can we, clean up a little bit over here, tidy this up over here a bit, put a little bit more focus, and, do the other things also kind of like, what's your sort of definition of success? Like, is it again just about trying to get to that quick win in your revenue, or is it about, I actually have my relationships intact also when I get to that
Yeah.
7-figure business, or I'm also impacting my community, because let's
Right.
face it, when women get access to money and wealth, we actually give way back, or like we give more back to our community. So what are
Absolutely.
you doing with that money? How are you investing in other businesses or other community impact groups? Are you giving money and just writing a check, or are you also giving your time,
Mhm.
your capabilities? So we talk a lot about that within our community, so that, we can I don't want to say course correct the last 50 years, but the next 50 years, we're really giving all of ourselves.
I love that. Gosh, so many great nuggets in that, just that piece alone right there that I love. And, one of the things that I was thinking about in that is that there's this, when we're younger, we're definitely in this more like hustle culture, whether we
Mhm.
realize it or not. I feel like it just happens because I even watch my daughter at 22, she just finished graduating. She's starting her master's. She's also working. And, I can already see this hustle culture starting. And I'm like,
Mhm.
whoa, 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 wait, because I don't want her to get, of course, we can see things hindsight now. And I don't want her to get so caught up in that. But why do you think it's, particularly important for midlife women to move away from that hustle culture?
Well, I mean, we just see it. Like, I mean, I don't know what the stats are in the States. I'm in Canada, but like we know from a mental health standpoint, 1 in 3 Canadians, the stat is, will struggle with some type of mental health
Mm, yeah.
problem, issue, right? So I think it's like, okay, well, that's like me and my neighbor, like, that's me or every third neighbor that I have on the block here. So
Yeah.
that's kind of a bit of a shocker. And whether or not that was going on in the previous generations, it probably was, so they just never talked about it. Right.
Right.
So people are talking about it more. There's more awareness around it. And there's also more tools that we can use.
Yeah.
But, breast cancer hasn't gone away. Heart disease hasn't gone away. For women, I think also in perimenopause, like we're dealing with, rises in our glucose level, rises in our insulin level. We're more prone to type 2 diabetes. Women that get type 2 diabetes are also then prone to get Alzheimer's, dementia. So like there's long-term ramifications to keep up this hustle. I think it's kind of like, I had to literally take a year off from quitting my corporate job. People were
Mm.
like, you're going to take a gap year at, at 48. And I'm like, yeah. First of all, I'd never taken a gap year. I'd literally
Right.
gone from like babysitting at 12 years old all the way up to corporate executive job, like the most taking 3 weeks off at one time. And
Yeah.
even then my boss was like, are you serious? So, like to take a full year away from any work and just invest
Mhm.
that into my health and kind of reprogramming my values, my vision for my life. A lot of people are like, oh, you'll be back at work in 3 months.
Mm.
A recruiter's going to call you, you're going to be back at work in 6 months. And I
Mhm.
really stuck with it because it was part of me. I was like, can I actually do this for myself?
Right.
It was a financial risk. I dipped into my savings, but it was so worth it for me
Mm.
just to be able to release some of that conditioning. And
Yeah.
it's still there. Like 6 years later, there's still moments where I'm like, okay, should I push myself a little bit harder? No,
Mhm.
my body's tired. Or, I didn't get as much sleep last night because sometimes I struggle with insomnia going through perimenopause. And it's just
Mhm.
like, I may need to take a nap at 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like taking an 80-year-old nap, but I may need to
Right.
take like a little bit of a refresher. Like I may need to just like unplug for like an hour and not do
Yep.
anything.
Yep.
And I think you can do that at midlife. You can make those choices.
Mhm.
But for a lot of us, we've been just in that groove of like go, go, go. And if I have spare time, what can I load up my to-do list with versus spare time? Or how can I actually create a business that I can maybe run 20, 25 hours a week?
Mhm.
What are some things that I can make some investments around, some automation, or bring on a VA, right?
Right.
Eliminate some things off of my to-do list, hire someone to do that. Yes, it's a cost to my business. It might take you back a little bit in your total cash flow, but do you end up generating more revenue because you've brought these people or these systems onto your business? So I think like you asked the question about like why is it important? I just think number one, it's your health.
Yeah.
Like at 50, your number one strategy in your business and in your life is putting your body first. And if you're
Mhm.
not putting that at the top of your to-do list, and then everything else comes second, the relationships, the clients, all these things, the systems, the offers, like if you're putting that all above your health, it's, yeah, I mean, I think, we have our parents to look at, like depending on sort of where they're at. I know that
Mhm.
many of us have aging parents that are also struggling with things like heart disease, cancer, et cetera.
Right.
So we've got an opportunity to shift that.
Yeah. No, I mean, it definitely sounds like after taking that gap year and walking back into business, it feels like there's just this really, great blend of professional, but also personal life living more in harmony together.
Mhm.
And I just think that, these are great reminders because it is so true. I had no idea what I was going to be stepping into as a midlife woman, especially when it comes to the perimenopause and the menopause, like all of that.
Mhm.
I truly had no idea. Like you said, it doesn't come with there's no booklet to let you
No.
know. And every woman is different. So even what you watched your parent go through or whatever, it's like it's not my journey is not the same as my mom's. And
Mhm.
so, and I feel like now it's being more talked about, but
Sure.
I feel like years ago it just wasn't really talked about.
No.
And, I look back and I go, oh, that's why she acted like this, or that's why she needed to take a nap every once in a while. I totally get it now. But no, I love that. And I think that that's so powerful. And that is going to help me now that we kind of have this background of you. Now I would love to dive in to you telling us more about the Aligned AF community and its mission to help 1 million women get aligned in their lives and businesses, and what makes this community unique. Because I love women being in community. That's something I'm super passionate about. So I'd love for you to talk to us about that.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I would say that like any opportunity that I think women can get together and network and, share each other's like business models, and
Mhm.
if there's synergies, potentially work together or jump on a podcast together or teaching each other's masterminds or master classes. Like, I think that that's something that should be part of your business model. Like, I think like us as women entrepreneurs, I think there's just such a different shift out there. But I think there's also some hardcore numbers. Like when we think
Yeah.
about sort of the corporate world still and venture capitalists, less than 2% of women in sort of the corporate world get VC funding.
Mm,
So like again, when we think about it, all the VC dollars that go out there to invest in new business as idea, 98% of those dollars are going to male-led
wow.
CEOs and businesses. So I think that we need to build a community together, right? To champion
Mhm.
each other, to share each other's voices, to like each other's content, to profile it on stories, to get it out there and amplify those messages.
Yeah.
Number one, it's not going to take away from your business. There's 8
Mhm.
billion people on the planet. I don't want to service 8 billion. I notice how I said 1 million. And that's in different capacities. That could be someone
Right.
purchasing my $5 a month Aligned AF community. They could be listening to this podcast. They could be listening to my podcast.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways that they can consume that content that gets me up to 1 million. But there's 8 billion people on the planet. I don't need to service everybody.
Right.
So, we've got, again, that conditioning of competition, eat what you kill.
Totally.
It's a meritocracy world, all that sort of stuff. We only get ahead if we focus on our own strengths. And I'm like, no, when we know that there's commonalities, again, when women get together, when women earn money and get access to more wealth, they give back to their communities and they create communities.
Mhm.
So I think that is one thing that I just want to continually foster. And that's really my mission inside the Aligned AF community is how do we just maximize everyone's potential, not just one
Mhm.
person, but everyone that's in the community and
Right.
all of our communities outside of that community. And then inside it, it's really about, sure, there's the knowledge, the education around how to grow your business.
Mhm.
What does a cash flow spreadsheet look like? How do you create a strategic freebie? Here's an email sequence
Mhm.
for your newsletter. Like there's all those templates and tools, but
Right.
essentially it's us coming together and talking about the highs, the lows, the woes, the hardships, the
Yeah.
successes, the wins, and applauding each other and like being each other's backs. Because if you have been in corporate and you're starting your business, or you're just going, cold turkey and going into entrepreneurship,
Right.
you need to have people behind you. Like growing up in the corporate structure, even though it was still sometimes, male dominated, there was
Mhm.
teams, there were still people cheering you on. There was still sort of like rewards and awards and recognition. And so we need that
Yeah.
still as human beings. Like we don't like to do things alone. We're naturally mammals. We like to do things in packs.
Mhm.
And so like, let's just go back to those basic sort of fundamentals of like kind of what we need to feel good about ourselves. So
Right.
yeah, and I repeating myself here, but like don't do it alone. You don't have to be this survivalist in the entrepreneurial world. As a woman entrepreneur, it's already tough for us,
Yeah.
and so let's make the whole networking, connection, and building, collaborative relationships easier by joining communities.
Yeah, so good. And, I don't know how I would have even gotten off the ground had I not had community.
Mhm.
I doing it alone was it would have been impossible for me just because I was kind of a deer in the headlights, quite
Sure.
honestly,
Yeah.
and whenever you're moving into a different industry, especially, it feels like I always tell my husband, I go, I feel like I have just gone through a whole master's program the last couple of years in understanding business and understanding entrepreneurship and all of the things. And I feel like I'm still, I mean, of course, we're lifelong learners and we're continuously learning and things are changing. And, everything is so, um, I feel like everything is so fast in a
Hmm.
way that
Oh
it's
yeah.
like you have to keep up with things, or not, but know your lane and know what it is that you are wanting to do. What is your passion? What are you passionate about? And that, I mean, one of the things that I was going to ask you was that for women that are in midlife considering to pivot in entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
what are, in addition, what are some practical first steps that they can start to do without feeling so overwhelmed?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, don't take necessarily a page from my book. I kind of quit cold turkey. I wasn't the person that had like 6 months salary saved up and all these type of things. So if you
Yeah.
do have a little bit of runway, a little bit of cash flow runway, I would always recommend that.
Okay.
Partly because you're going to make investments in your business right off the bat.
Right.
But that's one of the things that I also talk about a lot in the Aligned AF community. I made some big investments, like made the big website, all that type of stuff. And
Mhm.
8 months later, I changed some of my offers.
Yeah.
So, I think get some advice from coaches, mentors, join a community of entrepreneurs. You can hear from people that have already kind of skinned their knees on like where you should make some of those initial investments. But I think those are some like key things. And then you know, again, I would invest in your health. I mean, like that's
Right.
so, like as much as we want to work with, say, a business coach to get us off the ground or during some type of entrepreneurship group, don't be afraid to also, work with a gut specialist or sign up with a personal trainer, like, or join a running group, whatever
Mm,
that looks like, or just have a biz bestie that you meet with. Like some of my closest sort of advisors in my business, we just go for walks on like a Friday morning, right? And we talk about
yeah.
our business. So we're taking care of our health and we're taking care of like our business mindset at the same time. But yeah, like overall, I would say, keep your business light in the beginning because it's going to change.
Yeah.
Your offers are going to change. Your ideal client is going to change. Like when I first started my business, I just did what I was already doing in my corporate job. I started doing fractional consulting. And so all of my clients were male CEOs, right? Because I
Mm,
was just like, I'd always worked for male CEOs. So I just went and like worked for more male CEOs.
right.
And then I started doing sort of more leadership coaching, and then, all the women that were sort of working for me were just like, or working, yeah, like working with me were like, you know what, you know so much about business and you've started up all these businesses and
Mhm.
worked for all these big brands. Like, can you tell me how you did this? Can you tell me how you did this? Why are you doing this
Yeah.
in your business? Like you're making these changes, to your Instagram, or you're doing this, or you're creating these offers. How are you doing that? So then
Mhm.
I pivoted my business more towards business coaching and
Yeah.
helping solopreneurs get their business off the ground. But that's been 6 years and I've probably gone through 3 pivots in 6 years. Is that a
Right.
lot? Maybe. But I talk to most entrepreneurs and they do that. And so I
Yeah.
think go light in the beginning on tech and systems. But
Mhm.
then as you get an offer that you love and that your clients are loving, then start investing in it. Right. So that you
Yeah.
can get, more amplification or more um, simplification in your business. But in the beginning, go light. That's my big thing, and focus on your health.
I love that because, I feel like, again, I have had my own clients. I work a little differently with midlife women, not so much in business, but women who are feeling like they're stuck in their current careers and are just so hesitant to take that leap into entrepreneurship due to those financial fears. So I love, some of this advice, and it's refreshing to hear from somebody else that has gone through it and is kind of more business savvy to be able to help women in that department, because I think that we're starting to see it more and more, especially when it comes to midlife. I know for me, again, thinking about when I was really feeling this calling and I wasn't feeling as aligned in my profession anymore. And I remember feeling that stuckness, just
Mhm.
feeling like, but I was lacking so much joy. I was crying all the time. I mean, I knew something had to give. And it was my husband, who finally, he's the very black and white, logical money manager guy, that just finally looked at me and said, well, it's going to stay the same unless you do something about
Yeah,
it.
unless you
And
change it. Yeah.
right. But at the same time, all I could think about was, as a teacher, we're always also working for our insurance and, all of those things. But then in addition to that, I was like, wait a minute, like, I've been working towards this retirement to get all of the benefits and all of those things. But then when we did the math and we really started to look at things, it was another 7 years to get like the minimal, benefits from retirement. And it was another 12 years. I was going to be like 63, 64,
Yeah.
at the time. And I thought that felt like a lifetime. That
Right.
felt like a lifetime. And that's where I would love for you to share kind of your insight or, your perspective on this is helping women entrepreneurs develop business models that are both, simple and effective, but are also, in where you're in a space where you're not sacrificing joy,
Mm,
because I feel like in a successful business, joy plays a huge role in that. And so
absolutely.
what are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, I try and keep it really simple with my clients and with the members
Mhm.
inside the community. You hear about, oh, you need to have this, you need to have this for your clients. And I kind of think that there's like sort of three essential pieces.
Mhm.
One, you need to have like clarity around who you are and like what you do and who you serve.
Yeah.
And so, AKA your personal brand, like
Mhm.
that needs to be defined for you. And I'm not talking about like you need to be like Procter and Gamble or Kellogg's or something big and
Right, right.
flashy, but like again, like what makes you unique, what makes you stand out. And even as a teacher, there's probably some things like when you look at the faculty that you worked with out of the institution or school that you were
Mhm.
at. Even if you took two math teachers, there's going to be one, like I hear about it from my kids all the time. It's like, oh, did you like Mrs. Jones? No, I liked Mr. Smith, and
Absolutely.
and they're both English teachers. And it's just like, well, they're both
Mhm.
teaching grade 12 English. Like what makes one better than the other? Well, he does it this way, she does it that way. So what are those unique gifts that you bring? And get
Mhm.
some backup from people, right? Ask people. I
Yeah.
just posted a reel about this the other day. Like go and ask 10 people, like, what do they count on you for? And
Mhm.
I know that
So
feels
good.
weird and feels awkward, and you don't necessarily have that conversation every single day. But, fine. Start with your kids, start with your spouse, start with your next door neighbor, your best friend. They're going to tell you all the cushy stuff. But then go take it out to an outer ring of people like colleagues. Maybe you've been in some type of consulting world or something like that. Go ask some
Mhm.
clients if you've had them. But really know like what you stand for and what people count on you for. That becomes your personal brand.
Yeah.
The second thing is have one offer that you love to share all the time and that people resonate with.
Mhm.
And again, they're going to tell you when you go out and do that fact finding about like who you are and what they count on you for. And somewhere in there's going to be a nugget or, like a little spool, and you're going to tease that out and it's going to become your offer. I don't know what that is right now. If you're a coach, don't worry so much about whether it's 12 weeks or 8 weeks. Who cares about that? It's just more about like, what do you create for people? And just keep doing it over and over and over. And I talk about this all the time with my clients. Your signature offer should contribute 80% of your revenue with 20% effort. It's the
Great.
80-20 rule or Pareto's principle. Create with like low effort, right? Get the result
Mhm.
with the lowest effort possible. But you're only going to do that if you keep doing it over and over and over again. If you keep switching
Right.
your offers or adding offers or having like 20 menu items, it's going to be hard for you to, refine things, make things more efficient, decide, oh, this is the time to invest in technology to, take my effort from 70% down to 50%.
Mhm.
And then you start loving your business more, right? If you're
Yeah.
constantly creating new iterations of something, you start hating it and then moving on to something else. Like
So
love
true.
it and just continuing to invest in it. And you'll start seeing the results in your sales,
Mhm.
because clients will be able to refer you out, right? And they'll be able to talk about it and they'll be able to say, hey, you need to go work with Noelle. You need to go work with Brenda because they're experts at this. You get known for that expertise and that helps your personal brand.
Yeah.
And then the third way is create like what I call like low ticket or free, offers to get people into your orbit. If you're trying to just like land the plane every single time, I think from a basic sales standpoint, it's
Mhm.
hard to convert, whatever those 8 billion people on the planet. But if you can start getting them in and building that know, like, and trust with them, nurturing them, whether that's on your Instagram follower, in your email marketing, we talk about it from different lenses. Again, in email marketing costs money. You need to have a platform. You need to like write out copy, all that sort of stuff. But maybe you just have it on your Instagram page for the next year and just grow your followers. But I think, have something that people can consume. There's a message that they continually play on repeat. Again, you get known for these 3 or 4 things, and that, you become the expert in, and they trust you. And now they want to invest in that signature offer. And you do all 3 of those things just on repeat over and over again. I know it sounds boring. People are gonna be like, no, I want it to be more exciting. And it's just like, well, we have a similar coach, Jillian, she talks about it. She's like, your business should be boring. That's where the joy is. Because then go do something else.
Yeah.
Like, take Fridays off.
Yes.
Go for an extra long walk with the dog. Go take a yoga course. Go travel to India. Like, whatever you want to do, because you've got this repeatable business.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people get caught up in like, oh, I got to add this, and I got to add this bell and whistle. I got to do that. I got to do that. And it's just like, no. Like, you named off some of the brands that I work for. The Gap. I mean, what did we do well in the 90s? We did jeans and khakis.
Yeah, totally. That's why I went there.
But like the 2 most boring like pieces of like clothing, right? But what does the planet wear most of the time? Jeans.
Yeah.
Whether you're 5 years old or 95 years old. So it's just like,
great analogy.
Like the Fishers with the Gap, like those are the former owners of the company. Well, their children still own the company, but I mean, they were brilliant about it. They're like, okay, what do people wear? Like, they came from the 60s, and they're like, people were wearing jeans. Like, women could start wearing jeans in the 60s. We weren't allowed to wear jeans in the 60s. My mom wasn't allowed. And and it's just like, until she got married, until she was out of my grandparents' house, she bought her first pair of jeans.
Yeah.
So it's like, keep it simple. Like, that was our main, like, we had our value statements at the Gap, but basically the underlining value statement was always the KISS model: keep it simple, stupid, which sounds really bad, and you shouldn't talk that way to people, but it's kind of like, just keep your business simple, keep it on repeat, keep getting it better and better, and then go take Fridays off. Go take Mondays off. Work 3 days a week in your business.
Yeah, no, I love that. And, it's like, I think sometimes we think that everything is supposed to be sexy, that it's supposed to be this like grandiose thing. And, we're supposed to show up in this space and everything's going to be fun and different. And I mean, I've loved actually pivoting to a place of getting back to the simplicity of it, because like you said, if you want to go do all of the things and the sexy and the fun, go travel, use your time to be able to create something that, like you said, is on repeat, to where you can go and take your Fridays off. You can have a 3-day weekend that you were never able to have before. Create that as your fun. And not to say that, I still feel like with my business being simple, because I love what I do.
You're right.
It doesn't feel yuck. I don't, every day I walk in, to my office, and I'm still inspired to show up, but I also don't feel like I have to reinvent the wheel constantly. And I think I got caught up in that at the beginning. So I love that was a piece of the puzzle. The one of your 3 is to do things that are consistent, have your brand, have those things in place, and be able to do that. I love that so much. Oh my gosh.
Can I share one other thing too? I think the other thing that I see, and this is not a criticism for midlife women, but I think we get intimidated by all the flash, the interweb, that we need to now go get 10 certifications. We need to go start again. Please stop starting again. Just, if you need to go brush up on some things, cool. But like, you have 50 years. I'm just using 50. You could be 48. You could be 54. But it's like, you have 50 years of experience on the planet. Don't second guess yourself. If you don't have somebody, again, this is why community is so important. If you don't have somebody in your back pocket telling you that every day, like, please get somebody. Please stop the naysayers out there that are telling you that you need to go and double down on more certifications and masterminds and all these type of things. Like, sure, get your business to 100K, get your business to 200K, invest in whatever you want to do, continually learn things, but like, just don't second guess yourself. You know so much already. There's something in your toolkit that you were known for in your corporate days. Again, go and talk to 10 people. They're going to tell you. they're always going to tell you the straight up goods. And like, even when I went back to some of my colleagues, they're like, yeah, you should have been like talking and teaching about entrepreneurship years ago. It's just like, thank you. Why didn't you tell me that?
Right.
They're like, we thought you were happy in your job. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Like I talked to like my old president. I used to work for Earl's Restaurant. It's a, national, they're in the US now, but national premium casual restaurant chain. And my old boss, who's like retired now, but he's like, yeah, you should have been like doing this long time ago. And I'm like, but you never told me that when I was working for you. He's like, heck no, like we needed,
Yeah, we're not going to lose you over
I'm
that.
not going to give you up and like, tell you to go start your own business. But like after you left and you started your own business, I was like, yeah, you should have always done that. I'm like, oh, okay, good to know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think so like that's so important because I see women not starting or not posting or not talking about their offers because they're so worried that they have to go get something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you're fine. You're good.
Yeah, I had to be reminded of that too. I so struggled with that at the beginning. And until I got into, like you said, getting into those communities that are like, wait a minute, you were a teacher for 24 plus years. Like, you've got experience in a lot of things. You're good at a lot of things. And so I do think that once you reflect on that and realize that, like you said, you don't need to go out and continuously. We not only how do we have experience in the workforce, but we also have life experience.
Yes.
We have all of that, which is huge. And so I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And, as we're wrapping this up, I would love for you just, looking ahead, what are your goals for your community? How do you see things evolving and wanting to continue to support women entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I love that question because I'm like masterminding it right now. Like I won't show you my table, but there's lots of like notes and post-it notes and stuff like that. And I just like get into it. So much about my community has been like sort of on the teacher side and getting people like launching, which is amazing. It'll still be there. But the next phase for the community will be about helping you with your business in the sense of like, can I be the destination, the source for your lead generation? Can you find your next client, your next podcast guest, your next co-host in your mastermind inside my community? So I want like knowing that my community is for midlife women entrepreneurs, members join all the time. Can they be, finding their next, partnership, their next collaboration through the community? So could it be a source for lead generation for you? I want to start up affiliate partnerships. I want, women to be making money inside the membership. So not only just like paying me, but can they make money from other members, myself, everybody included? So it's kind of like, I need to be in Brenda's community because it's going to help me make money versus just, and not from a like capitalistic, like, who's the guy from, The Simpsons or whatever, not like money miser type thing.
Right.
But again, knowing that when women help women out, we build community together, we build wealth together, and we help other communities, continue to build wealth and longevity. So that's my goal, is to create the tools, the mechanisms inside the membership where you can come in and now it's like you've got this network that just grows exponentially with you.
Yeah, love that. Oh my gosh, amazing, amazing. Well, I am so glad that you joined us today. I just feel like so many women are going to be empowered by this conversation. And please tell us where we can find you. We'll have it in the show notes, but I'd love for you to share and what you have going on in your world, all of the things.
Yeah, thank you. And thanks for having me on today. It's been amazing talking to all your people. You can find me on Instagram. I hang out on Instagram. That's like my main social media platform at It's Brenda Rigney. And then my website is brendarigney.com. So it's like really easy, first and last name. And you'll find links to the community in there. I'm on YouTube. I also have my podcast, The X, which is all about Generation X, going behind the scenes into women entrepreneurs' businesses. Those are like the major places.
Love it. Yes. Go check out that podcast, connect with her on Instagram. You guys it will not disappoint. Let me tell you, Brenda is brilliant. I have been kind of watching her from the sidelines and just really, really excited for what she has going on. And it's just all perfectly aligned with what's going on over here with me. So I can't wait to be a part of it as well. So everybody, thank you so much, Brenda. And for everybody, I just want to say until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and know that the best is yet to come. Bye, friends. Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review, and don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.